Smart went crazy, but where did you go? Smart went crazy, but where did you go? Smart.
So, something happened last week, and what we are going to do is I'm going to post a topic on Facebook, alright, and I just posted that topic, and first we're going to talk about something that happened to...
Can we address what happened with the last show when I wasn't here when you and Scott were talking?
Sure, we can address that one moment.
I'll let you take it away since it was it's kind of your thing.
Sure. So last show that Neal and I were together, and I'm going to talk very slowly because I want to think about how I word every single word that comes out of my mouth.
You got to be careful when you talk about race because it's a big deal.
So last week, or last show that we did, I offended some people. And I want to apologize very deeply about the people that I offended. I got a lot of backlash for talking about white privilege. Listen, here's how I feel about it. I'm very sorry that I offended you. I did get some stuff wrong. I'm not going to lie. I researched some stuff. Historically, black colleges, they do allow white people to go in there, join their schools now. So I want to apologize about that. But I did find some articles that did prove my point that historically black colleges, although they do allow white people to attend their schools, there is racism back towards those white people that do attend the schools.
Students at the University of California, Berkeley held a day of protest on Friday to demand the creation of additional safe spaces for transgender and non-white students. And during the protest, they created a human chain to prevent white students from getting to class. Some Asian students were also blocked from getting to class.
So I want to apologize about that. But we're gonna try to talk about white privilege today in a way that isn't going to offend anybody. So first, I want to start out with censoring. So Tammy Lauren. Just one moment. Let me pull up this article here. I'm sorry, we were not prepared.
Well, you don't have. She got permanently banned from the show The Blaze.
Let me ask you this: you call yourself a conservative. A conservative Republican and a constitutional conservative, but you also consider yourself pro-choice, which is interesting to me because 68% of conservative Republicans think that abortion should be illegal across the board.
No, I'm pro-choice, and here's why. I am a constitutional, someone that loves the Constitution. I am someone that's for limited government, and so I can't sit here and be a hypocrite and say I'm for limited government, but I think that the government should decide what women do with their bodies. I can sit here and say that as a Republican, and
for saying she's pro-life. And it's kind of the same thing because the way that people backlashed against me for saying what I said on last week's show or on white privilege, it's the same thing.
Yeah, but can I stop you for a second? I think even though you stick into your opinion, people do have the right to oppose you.
Absolutely, they do.
Right.
But there was some terrible...
This is exactly the same. You didn't get banned from our show.
No.
She got banned.
She got banned.
So this is different.
It's a little bit different.
Yeah.
I agree, but she's being censored right now, just like I was. The point is, what I'm trying to make here is that I definitely received some terrible comments. People called me racist. People insulted me because of my opinion. So I want to apologize to whoever I offended. I'm sorry that my opinions differ with yours, but we're going to talk about it a little bit today, kind of clear the air a little bit and let you know how we feel about it. And I'm going to try to word things differently. I'm a very direct person, so I will let you know how I feel, what the truth is, and I won't ever skate around the truth. So, take it away. Why don't you tell that story that you told me?
Well, first of all, were you talking about Brown University before the historically black colleges?
No, we're just talking white privilege.
Okay, well, I'm going to just touch that real quick. So Brown University, I was reading on an article about Brown. There's some conservative students that go there, and most of the school is very, very liberal. There was a gathering in one of the rooms for conservatives, and they were talking about kind of like what we're talking about now with race. And the students at Brown, they rushed in and they shut it down. and they ended it. And they said, race is not up for debate.
Can we just have a conversation?
No, the problem that they're having is heterosexual white males have always dominated the space, and so one in which heterosexual. I would not. Well, homosexual, it don't matter. White males are at the top of the hierarchy. It don't matter.
And they pretty much stopped it. They censored them. So there's a little backlash back and forth between the right and the left, between having freedom of speech to talk about whatever it is you want to talk about, and people saying, oh, I don't want to hear it, I'm triggered, whatever. My take on this is simple. Racism is still alive in this country. It's actually, I think it's pretty prominent. It doesn't take long to go on Facebook or YouTube and search through some comments, and you can find some pretty nasty stuff.
John Smith says, a fat-lipped baboon and an ugly Snow White Cinderella equals sand nigger. Assuming you mean Middle Eastern for sand nigger?
Towards black people, towards, I don't know, Asians, whatever. Spanish people, it exists. As far as white privilege goes, yes, I feel like it does exist to an extent. Now, I don't sit here and say that white privilege is the reason why non-whites fail in America. When I look at law, there's no law set in place that prevents anyone from doing anything in this country. We don't have apartheid like it was in Africa. But I also do want to make it very clear, I think it could be tough for minorities to, work in places that are predominantly white people working there, and go to the neighborhoods that are going to schools that are predominantly white. I think that is also a very valid discussion to have, and it should not be ignored. As far as that goes, all I really got to say more on top of that is, I would say right now as a country, and I don't have a problem with Black Lives Matter. I think it's great that people are getting out and speaking for what they want, for what they believe in. Fine, but I want to make sure. I think that as a country we are very far ahead of everyone else when it comes to equal rights, equal pay, giving everyone a chance. I think that we are number one, leading the race towards equality. And Martin Luther King had a vision, and that vision is coming true. I'm not saying it's totally there yet, and I have a lot of black friends who tell me, there's a lot of racism. I feel it every day, and I don't disagree with that. No. I'll never say you're wrong. I will always take their word, because, as a white person, I don't know what it's like to be black. You know what I mean? So I always have to take everything in consideration. But at the same time, like when Colin Kaepernick came out and said, this flag doesn't stand for anything. This flag stands for race. I disagree. I think the flag stands for equality, liberty, freedom, and I think we're the greatest country in the world. So I will always say that you can't just blame white privilege for all the problem in the world. I always would say that. So here's what I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna kind of tone it down a little bit and take my time, if that's okay with you. Yeah. Okay. So here's the deal. First and foremost, a friend of mine told me to state my premise, how I feel, and where I want to end this conversation. Okay? I want every single black person in America to be as equal as a white person. I want a person judged by the character of their intelligence and not their skin color. Wait, who said that again?
My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Martin Luther King. I want somebody judged by their character and not their skin tone. I want to make that very clear.
Yeah.
As I stated before, white privilege, in my opinion, does not exist. It's a fallacy made up by a Democratic Party in order to divide us instead of unite us. That's how I feel about the situation. There are facts upon facts upon facts, including the fact that we just had a black president, which I was going to say before Chris Walters brought that up. We have made leaps and bounds in society to better our African American brothers and sisters. With that being said, the fact that people believe that there's a white privilege just shows, in my opinion, the indoctrination of the left in liberal society. So say, for example, that you and I were to take a test together and we scored lower on that test, or we scored higher on that test, I apologize, than the African American who was taking that test, they would be given the job over us because of affirmative action, which in no way, shape, or form.
I gotta stop you there. I gotta stop you. I gotta, because
you can't say that because
no. But listen,
the city of Buffalo.
Here's let me finish. I'm not disagreeing with you 100%. There are places, there are jobs that will do that.
There are jobs.
Okay. But
not
it depends.
every,
Thank you. You have to make that clear.
I want to make that very clear. I'm
just
sorry.
lost our sound.
Not every job will search for the best
because
people.
It can go the opposite way though. It can go. There could be some jobs, privately owned businesses, by a white person who might look at those tests and hire the white person over the black person.
Absolutely, that's that door
So that's white
definitely is a revolving door.
Yes,
but you can't call that white privilege.
Yes,
you have to call that the double standard. It's not a white privilege because affirmative action is a black privilege, correct?
Yes.
And if a white person hires a white person based off the color of their skin, that is a white privilege, correct?
You got to look at the intention. The intention of affirmative action was to integrate people because there's too many black people living in ghettos, living in poor neighborhoods, living on welfare, and they were trying to change it.
See, that's a stereotype.
But it was a positive.
It
was a positive approach. They were trying to integrate, and it worked. They pulled back on affirmative action recently, but let me actually, before I jump down your throat about it, I will agree with you. There are some circumstances, certain jobs, where certain companies, I've actually seen it myself in the union. I've had a union rep tell me, if you have any black friends that need a job, we need to hire more blacks here.
Absolutely.
That's a racist thing to say.
That is.
His intentions were good. He wanted to give more black people jobs so he wouldn't get in trouble by the state. But at the same time, it's like saying, "Oh, these people are different, so we need to have this." To me, I see, like you said, we should judge people by the character instead of their skin. I think you just go.
Absolutely.
You just go with it and try not to have a bias.
So here's how we talk about this situation, okay? Affirmative action, in my opinion, needs to be killed.
Last year, the Ivy League colleges sent out 100,000 rejection letters to qualified Asian American and white applicants whose only crime may have been the color of their skin and the shape of their eyes. The discrimination is so bad that I had to pose as black to get into medical school. Affirmative action is a form of racism that is as ingrained in our society today as imperialism was in the time of Gandhi and segregation was in the time of Martin Luther King.
White privilege, in my opinion, needs to be killed. We need to look at this as a country as a whole, right? But the truth of the matter remains is that people are going to judge people based off their skin tone no matter what happens.
It's still going on,
right? The only way that we are ever going to be able to definitively crush white privilege, if you will, or black privilege, if you will, is through education, right? We need to teach our children that people need to be judged on the basis of their character and their intelligence, not their skin tone.
And live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
I agree 100%.
What it boils down to is that you and I have the same exact melanocytes in our skin. The only difference is that those melanocytes were darkened back in the day by your ancestors, and they carried on gene by gene by gene. But the truth of the matter remains is all humanity started in the Rift Valley of Africa. So we all are the same race, the human race. Okay, that's my opinion.
If you look at bone diggings and all that, and people trying to find out where society came from, it does point to like Northern Africa, Middle East. All humans came. The oldest human bones we know all come from that area. So it does make sense that people might have migrated out and became lighter because they were going to colder places, living in caves. There's a science behind it.
There is a science.
So humans, that means that human beings are equal. So,
absolutely.
So, but let me just get my last word on it. Here's what I think: racism still exists, white privilege also still exists, but it's on its way out.
No, I disagree with you. White privilege, in my opinion, does not exist. It is a fallacy.
All right, so
it is a fallacy.
We know you're saying. You don't have to keep saying it. We disagree on that. But here's the thing. I think it's on its way out, and I do agree with you that the left magnifies it and makes it 10 times worse than it really is.
A new study by researchers at Stanford University indicates that those who want to deny that white privilege exists do so by maintaining that they have gone through some significant obstacles in their lives.
They will try to say that all Trump supporters are racist, and all white males are racist, and that these are bad people. We need to demonize them. I agree with you on that, but at the same time, I recognize that racism still exists, and white privilege does exist too. But let me finish. You're not listening. It's on its way out. I think as a country we figured out ways that we are on our way towards Martin Luther King's dream, and it's happening day by day, slowly but surely. I just don't think you can say it's over yet.
Okay, and that's fair. I will give you that promise. I will give you that opinion. I will applaud that opinion.
Yes.
But with this being said, okay, and I'm going to take it back to the bare roots minimum here, okay? Again, if you keep acknowledging that white privilege exists, and you keep acknowledging that there is affirmative action, you are going to continue creating a divide between the races. Okay, no matter what you say.
I agree with that.
Okay? As long as there is a black human being on this earth that believes that the white people in front of him are privileged, they will never look at their own success, their own failure,
it'll cause divides.
As a divide.
Also, we have, there's another issue going on. When the voting was going on, the Republicans were saying that everyone should have voter IDs ready, and the left was saying no, because that would make less black people vote. And it was almost like a racist thing to say, because that's like the liberals were implying that, almost like saying blacks are too dumb to get voter cards.
Good old-fashioned voter suppression with a dash of racism and classism for good measure. Requiring voters to have ID seems like a harmless precaution until you realize the majority of people lacking ID are either elderly, poor, and aren't white. And frequently, they're all three.
To me, it was sickening. And this is the party they stand by. This is where the majority of black people vote for every election. They vote Democrat, and it blows my mind that that's who's backing them up. People who say that about them. So I will listen. Even though we disagree that I think white privilege still exists to an extent, I will agree that it's not as bad as people say it is. And I also will agree that the left's policy towards let's give black people an advantage, I think that could be a problem in itself.
It is a problem. So again, once you create one side is equal, or one side has a slighter, the scales are tipped one side, one way, there's always going to be a racial divide in this country. As a president of the United States, we need to all look at our population, and we need to stop dividing them by the color of their skin or the ethnicity that they come from.
So we agree.
End of story.
Yeah, we agree.
All I know is this much. No, it's not the last. Maybe for you, but not for me.
Yeah, but
with the ethnicity in this, within the ethnicity of this country, We have so many racial divides and so many issues going on. And the left, I feel, in my opinion, does bastardize, for lack of a better word, the fact that we're all separate or different because of the color of our skin. The left pushes that race button and they use it as a tool.
Yeah, that's all it requires.
But right now, we lack empathy in so many different cases, whether it comes to the Muslim community, whether it comes to the black community, those who have been brutalized by police. There's just no empathy whatsoever. But beyond empathy, there just needs to be an understanding about what these things mean, and people don't know what it means. Look, I'm white, and I've definitely enjoyed white privilege, right? Or I've definitely had the advantage of white privilege.
To try to defeat the Republicans,
I will agree with that.
Who will always tell you that they want you to go to work, they want you to succeed, they want you to pay lower taxes, instead of telling you it's because you're black. That's why you're not succeeding. That's not the truth. You are your own human being. You are in control of your own ship. You steer it where you want it to go. I listened to a black woman the other day who is a very, very influential person tell me straight to my face that she does not feel there is a white privilege. And she feels, and she's a woman too.
So white privilege is the concept that no matter what, if you're white, you're doing better than any black person ever because your skin is white. Doesn't matter if you're homeless. Doesn't matter if you're in prison. Doesn't matter. You're doing way better than every black person because your skin is white. So a lot of times these social justice warriors will say, oh, you're white, you don't have to worry about the cops harassing you. Well, I don't worry about cops harassing me. I'm a black woman and I live in Texas.
And she feels that the color of her skin never got in the way of her success. Her hard work, her perseverance, and her drive to succeed is what brought her to the top.
And in the end, that's what our country's laws are set up, that anybody from birth can make it. I mean, yes, there are environmental issues. You have your surroundings that will play a factor in what happens in your life. It's harder to make it when you live in the ghetto, of course. But that doesn't mean...
Layla, get out of here.
The dog's pounding on the door. That doesn't mean that there's like this evil patriarch group of white men behind the scenes that are trying to put minorities down. That's where I agree with you on. That's not true. We just had a black president. If you look in Baltimore, the Baltimore riots, the cop that killed that man was black. Then they found out that after all the riots went down, all these business owners, most of them were black too. The mayor of the city of Baltimore was black.
We're going to take you over to the mayor of Baltimore, Stephanie Rawlings-Blake, speaking with reporters outside of police headquarters.
It ended up turning into a black-on-black crime.
What you guys are out here doing is not helping, and I hate to say this, but I'm going to tell you what you need to hear imposing to what you want to hear. All we know how to do is blame the police and white folks for our actions. That's all we know how to do is blame police and white folks. They mistreating us. They beating on us. Oh, slavery still exists. Oh, I'm sick of it.
And another thing, too, that nobody points out is these social programs that everybody's for hold you down. They don't lift you up. I understand that people out there think that they need welfare and stuff like that. And this is for whites and blacks alike. When you come and you ask the government for money, they control you. They dictate how your life is going to be lived. Let me tell you this right now. As a hardworking American, the only way that you're ever going to be happy in your life is to succeed. And the only way to succeed is not to depend on the government. These social programs that they put in place, such as welfare, such as, all these programs that they have, and I could go on for hours with this. They bring you down. They don't lift you up. Failure is not okay. You need to understand that. You need to push yourself to get off of the food stamps and work harder and faster and stronger. So that way one day you can look at yourself and you could say, I am not dependent on the United States government. They cannot dictate what taxes I pay. They cannot tell me where to shop. They can't tell me if I want to buy hot or cold food. They can't tell me what I can and can't buy. I buy what I want to buy with my own money, and I earned it on my own terms. When you borrow from the government, that's the way it works. Yep. I'm sorry. That's the truth. Now, you could sit here and say to me all you want, I'm a racist, I'm this, I'm that. Let me tell you something. There are families out there that need welfare. I'm not saying cut welfare at its source. But let me tell you this right now. We need to stop having a majority of American families, and there is a very big majority of American families, especially in the black community and the white community, that are on welfare and food stamps. And when you're on welfare and food stamps, you are not pushing yourself up, you are holding yourself back. So the best way to succeed in this life is say, I don't want welfare, I don't want food stamps, I want to earn my own money, I want to take my own money, and I want to build my own empire. That is it. That's all I have to say. I am beating a dead horse. It is that easy. It is that easy. I'm sorry, Tabitha. It is that easy. You have a drive. You are given one life. You are given one life. And the fact that you believe that that's not true really, truly saddens me. You are given one life. What you choose to do with your 86,000 deposits every day is your choice. You can go back to school. You can put your kids in daycare. You could work 35 jobs. Let me tell you something. I know people out there that are busting their ass working 3 jobs just so that their kids could go to private school. But they know that that's going to make their future for their kids. If that's your idea of success, then that's your idea of success. But don't ever let anybody tell you that it's impossible to make it in this world, because it's not. It's very simple. Go to work every day, better your education, better yourself, and move higher up that ladder. That's the only way you can do it.
Yeah, I mean, we've said enough. I think we've said enough about it. I mean, yeah, of course you can have a better life if you work hard and strive to be somebody, This country has gotten so, I guess you could say, wealthy that there are people who live better here in America on welfare than people in third world countries. And that's another thing about the immigration thing, because people want to come here, and you come here and you get put on, welfare or whatever, and you're content then, which is, I agree with you. I think people should strive for more. But I mean, like even Tabitha was saying, it's not that it is and it isn't. It is and it isn't, because you can't just, because everyone's different, because you have to look at everyone individually instead of like groups. Yeah, I mean, it's always better to work. I agree with you. It's always better to work hard, to strive for more, and that's really the bottom line.
So here's my recommendation. Here's my recommendation for you, Tabitha. If you got to look at life like a bell curve, right? Okay, there's going to be times in life when you're going to struggle, right? And then you're going to keep pushing and keep pushing, and eventually you're going to hit that curve where your kids are going to start going to school, and you don't need to worry about paying for daycare anymore, and then you're going to start making more money. Okay? Here's the truth. You say you're an assistant manager making just over minimum wage because of the raises in minimum wage. Why are you letting the minimum wage dictate your income? That is my question to you. There are thousands of jobs. Despite what the liberals tell you, that there's no jobs, there are thousands of jobs out there that you could apply to that'll give you more than minimum wage. Again, you are in control of your own shit. What you choose to put into this life is what you're going to get out. Are you applying to different jobs every day? Are you going back to school to better your education? Are you putting 3 or 4 hours into sleep at night?
No, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. The bottom line is, it's better to strive for more, and it's better to be a better version, be the best version of yourself you can, like we were talking about in the beginning. But I don't want to just keep putting down people who are on. No, and we're not putting down people who are on welfare. Listen, the way you say it is kind of like, I mean, you gotta just. Yes, you're right. You're right. It's better to strive for more and try to be the best you can in this one life that you get. All right, that's it. That's it. We can agree on
Just
that.
there was a time and point in my life where I needed welfare.
Right, that's what the welfare program is for. Everyone needs it at some point in their life.
But the point is people live off of it and abuse it.
Right. Okay. That's a problem too.
And you must have not heard my premise when I stated that other people need it, and they need it for a time being.
Yes. No,
I can show you that there was a time and point in my life when I was on welfare.
Yes.
But I never wanted to stay on it. I never accepted it as a way of life.
Because you strive for a better life and you
move forward.
Right. And no one's disagreeing with that. It's just, I don't know. Yeah, I agree with you. Let's leave it at that. I agree 100%. Let's move on.
Tabitha, I'm going to move on after I tell you this. Listen, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go on I want you to take a pen and paper. I want you to write down your schedule. I want you to write down your schedule and figure out what hours you can play with. This is totally up to you and your husband. You write down his schedule, you write down her schedule, you figure out the hours that you can play with. After you find those hours, decide what you're going to do with that block of time, and I promise you when you put something positive in that block of time that you have free, you will succeed. So we are going to move on. I'm getting yelled at by everybody to move on to a different topic.
I'm not trying to yell at you about it.
I'm sorry.
But you said it said the same thing like 6 different ways. I get your point, and I agree with it too. I'm not disagreeing with you either. But I'm on entertainment first.
Sure.
Dave Chappelle, his specials on Netflix were phenomenal. I loved it. I feel like Dave Chappelle got a little bit red pill going on. He had a little bit of a conservative awakening. The way he approached these topics was very, very right wing. If you look at it politically, He got some back. Did you see it?
No.
Okay, so I saw it. He got a lot of backlash from social justice warriors and liberals about the way he went about talking about. He said a joke about a trans person he met.
Gay CPR is fanning and shit. I saw all this from a distance. Now, I should have minded my own business, but I got curious. I was like, and I went over there. All I said, excuse me, gentlemen, is he okay? And then they looked at me like I was evil. She is fine. It's a word? Oh. I'm sorry, I didn't know this is what we were doing. Here's my thing. I support anybody's right to be whoever they feel like they are inside. I'm your ally in that. However, my question is, to what degree do I have to participate in your self-image? Is it fair that I have to change my whole pronoun game up for this motherfucker? That doesn't make sense. Seriously. If I put on an Argyle sweater and I'm like, hey everybody, I feel like a white guy in this sweater and I want some goddamn respect in a bank loan. That's not gonna work. Give a fuck how I feel, why should I give a fuck how you feel? Nigger's a pronoun. But there was no time for philosophical debate. This was an emergency situation. I said, fine. Sorry guys. I was just worried because she looks terrible. She just fell off the bench. Appears that her dick is popping out of her dress. Mind if I call an ambulance, champ? I'd rather not be at a party where a tranny ODs. There's too many questions to answer.
And he referred to the trans person as a man, and everyone got pissed at him and was like, it's a she. And you know how Chappelle is. He's very funny in the way he talks. He was telling a story. Well, he got a lot of backlash about that. And he had some other... I'm not going to talk more about what... I want everyone to see it for themselves. But you'll get a glimpse of what I'm saying. Well, look into it. Dave Chappelle has gotten a lot of backlash from the left on his new stand-up.
He beat the horse on white privilege.
Yeah, we did.
So
I think we can leave that alone for a little while.
We're going to leave that alone.
You know what? I would like to have somebody, one of my friends, if anyone's in the chat right now, from a minority race or anyone who wants to talk about it with us could come on and talk about it or get on the phone line or whatever. We can always have this discussion again. We're not saying that we're the right ones. This is just our opinions.
This is an opinionated show.
Everybody can be right. You don't have to have.
And I want to make this very clear. very clear. I am in no way, shape, or form a racist. I believe that both races are equal. I love both races. Some of my very good friends. That doesn't mean that anything to you or anyone else, but some of my very good friends are black. And I tell them exactly like I tell you. So my opinion is my opinion. I believe that everyone is equal, and I am not a racist. So I didn't appreciate everyone calling me a racist when I did do the skit on the white privilege. So I love you all.
I know you're not a racist,
and I'm very sorry that you guys took it that way. But we're gonna finish up here. We got.